Yeah, boy. You know what time it is? It's time for the PSSA reading test, and we're going to prepare starting today. So everybody out there, let's get ready to go. Yeah, boy. Okay, we're going to talk today first about our first lesson, lesson 1, the multiple choice questions and the types of strategies that you're going to use on the test. Okay, the types of questions that are on the exam. Well, there are two types. Number 1, multiple choice, there are 40 of those. And secondly, there are open-ended response, there are 4 of those as well. Okay, and we'll talk about those a little later in a different lesson. Okay, multiple choice test taking strategies. First, you want to read all 4 choices before you respond. That's really important. Second, use the process of elimination to eliminate choices that you are sure are not the correct answer. Third, write directly in your test booklet. Okay, what you want to do is to be able to cross off letters of the answer that you know are the incorrect answers and go back and mark your correct answers. Do not skip questions. Do not rush, and you will get extra time if needed. So be sure to take your time. Okay, there are a bunch of types of questions on the test. Okay, first there are literal questions. Secondly, there are making inferences and drawing conclusions. Third, there are interpretation and analysis type questions. These often involve some literary device that the author is using. 4, there are big picture questions. The purpose of the text, main idea, and organization. And 5th, there are best type answer questions, and we'll discuss this extensively. 6, there are word identifications type questions, and that'll be a topic of a later lesson. Okay, literal questions. What this question is asking you to do is to go back into the passage and find the answer. Example, go fetch. Okay, the type of wording that you're going to see here is according to the passage and based on the passage. There are 2 types of tips here that we want to reinforce with you. A, confirm your answer in the passage. And secondly, do what the question is asking you to do. So if it says according to the passage, it's prompting you to go back into the passage and find that answer. Okay, here's an example of a literal type question. According to the passage, Dawa's family moves from Texas because they, and you go through your choices, read the choices, all 4 of them, and then go back into the passage to find the answer. And in this case, the answer is C. Expect to find more opportunities in San Francisco. Making inferences and drawing conclusion questions. These types of questions ask the students to conclude or infer based on information in the passage. Example wording. Which of the following would most likely or to conclude? This is the type of language that you'll read in the question stem. Tips here. Analyze information in the passage and use prior knowledge to make an evidence-based guess. Secondly, make sure that your inferences rely mainly on the author's words rather than on your own feelings or experiences. Your goal is to read the author's mind, not to invent your own message. Example, drawing conclusion type questions. The author's repetition of the phrase, she should have known, allows the reader to conclude that, and again, you use the information in the passage and use your best evidence-based answer to draw a conclusion. And in this case, the answer is D. Something unexpected is going to happen to Dawa. Interpretation and analysis questions. Ask the student, you, to interpret or to analyze information from the passage. Your tips here are to reread part of the passage that is referred to in the question. Review key literary terms, and we'll talk about those in a later lesson. An example of an interpretation and analysis type question is, read the following sentence from the passage. Castle Bewick had been mended, but it stood as bare as a barn. The reason the author uses figurative language to compare the castle to a barn is because the castle, and then again, you read all 4 of your choices before you respond. The best answer here is C, needs to be furnished and decorated. Big picture type questions. These types of questions ask the student to identify big concepts in the passage, like the author's tone, the author's purpose, or method of organization of the text. The tips here are, you need to read the entire passage to get these questions correct. Secondly, review key literary terms, which will be in a later presentation. Example of a big picture type question. The purpose of the first paragraph of the passage is to. Again, read all 4 of your choices before you respond. In this question, the answer is C, to offer a definition of money. Best questions. These questions ask the student to think good, better, best. An example wording here would be, which of the following best explains, or which of the following best supports. The tips here are, when you see the word best in the question, you think one choice will be good, one choice will be better, one choice will be the best response to the question. And then lastly, one of the choices will be a total distraction. So you can use the process of elimination to eliminate that one distraction. And here's an example of a best question. Based on information in the passage, which word best describes dawa? A, forgetful, B, bashful, C, perceptive, or D, reliable? Again, your thinking here is good, better, best. Use the process of elimination to eliminate the distraction. And the best answer here is C, perceptive. Okay, so to conclude today's lesson or topic, the key here is to remember that there are a bunch of types of multiple choice type questions. Literal, making inferences and drawing conclusions, interpretation and analysis, big picture type questions, best type questions. Now, in our next lesson, we'll talk about word identification type questions, where we'll talk about vocabulary and context, as well as using prefix, root words and suffixes, antonyms and synonyms, and we will also go over the open-ended response type question.